Oh, welcome back to another episode of the working studio title, For the Record, though that will not be our official title. It at least gives you an idea of where we're headed. Tonight, I am joined by the beautiful, the smart, the badass Nikki Hunt and Laura Hudson. What is up, guys?
Yeah, baby.
I'm like, dude, we had so much fun. Again, most people, if you're going to bank episodes, don't say that. And they might even change their shirt or something so it looks like we came on another day. But there's an inappropriate joke in there somewhere, but I'll breeze right over it. We don't do that here. We tell these guys what's up. We're banking this, baby. We had such a good time on the first episode that we were like, you know what? Let's just bank another one while we're all here. And here we are.
Yeah.
So I would ask you guys normally how you're feeling, but we literally just talked about it.
Yeah, we feel great.
We're having fun.
Amazing.
Do you guys like the podcast world?
I love the podcast world. I've been listening to the podcast world so long that I've been like dying to do a podcast or be on a podcast.
You need to do one.
Yeah,
we need to talk seriously about that idea.
Seriously.
And you guys, I was telling them we did a little food break, and I was saying that they need to co-host this when I'm away because you guys would kill this.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
You guys would absolutely kill it.
I could work the buttons.
Yeah, it's really not. Yeah, it's very straightforward.
What are you trying to say, Dan?
I'm saying it's too simple for you.
Sweaty balls.
You're too. Yeah, that's it. You're too good for this. Laura, do you listen to podcasts?
I have never listened to a podcast.
Oh my
no,
God! We need to break her virginity.
Well, hold on a second. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
I will tell you.
Podcast cherry.
Yeah.
So hold on a second. I will tell you a little story.
Oh God.
My sister, who I told you about earlier, from Connecticut, who I have only known for a couple years, we actually smoked some pot.
Oh my God, I love this.
Okay, so we smoked some pot and then we went to bed, only she thought her podcast was in her earphones, but we were so baked it wasn't. No. And it was like on 11 and I tried to sleep to her podcast. She had no idea it was that loud and I just dealt with it because I couldn't move in my bed.
Dude, so your experience of podcasts is torment, just complete torment.
Yeah, sort of, in the best possible way.
Yeah.
But it's real.
So you and your sister should get baked and then have a podcast.
Oh my God,
True
you would
story,
kill that. The
right?
funny thing is about this is the thing about like
and
new age.
And you should call it baked goods.
Right?
Oh
yes.
my God.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the Nux. Give me the Nux.
bump.
We need one. You should, the funny thing about you is knowing your mind. The funny thing is it's the age and like new age bullshit, right? Because not spirituality, but new age tech. Like podcasts are such cutting edge. Well, they're not. I mean, they've been out for a decade and change or more.
Yeah.
I don't remember when Corolla and Rogan started, but it was a long time back. The thing is, though, you are so good at talking at length and in a deep subject matter about certain things. Like you're born for a podcast.
Cool.
And you don't listen to them. We need to send Laura like
right.
baskets of podcasts.
Yeah.
You're going to be obsessed.
Yeah, I will
Sorry
be.
in advance for the sleep loss.
When we were talking earlier, I mentioned Jay Shetty, and Jay Shetty has the #1 podcast in the world, and it's called On Purpose. And he interviews tons of celebrities, and then he'll do his own version of just. And when I say own version, what I mean to say is that he'll just talk by himself, and he'll pick a topic, and usually it's like somewhere between like 30 and 40 minutes, but he interviews all kinds of famous people, and it's the most amazing. It's all about mindfulness and
right up your alley.
Yeah,
emotional
sounds amazing.
intelligence.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing. You should
Yeah.
check him out. I follow that podcast on Spotify.
I'll put it on my list of things to do.
You also need to come on our paranormal podcast.
100%.
You would
I
kill
have
it.
seen things.
Well, let's get into that in a second. Because here's what we did. We loved the first episode so much that it wasn't just that we wanted to do another one while I have them here. It was, we forgot to talk about at length anything we talked about talking about. So here we are. Before we do that again, is there anything as a like second entrance into our perspective on CMI that we think is good to talk about? I have one. I hope it's taken in the right context, but I wanted to touch on at some point the benefits and the problems of having your tribe tell you you're good. Because we got a lot of slack from people that thought that they should be the next Celine Dion. And it's not so much that I feel confident that we can make a call whether that's true or not. It's just the idea of the sentiment and how that I take that.
Yeah, I think the number one issue in general is that there's only one winner.
Yeah.
And I understand that, like, in the world of entertainment, like in all these shows, like there's a reason why there's one winner. There's a reason why they do that. Like it's built to be that way on purpose.
You need to breed competitiveness.
Yeah, it's the competitiveness. People like to see the competition, and but I mean, like, the three of us sat down and discussed the fact that there could have been like a top 10, like easily.
And everyone in that top 10 would have equally deserved a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For their own reason.
So, I'm not sure exactly like what the question is that you were trying to ask, but like
let me dress it up and see if you have it. So I'll give you some anecdotes. So I won't use names, but let's say somebody commented under a video that I didn't see anyone react to or respond to that said, Celine Dion and I don't remember the singer were told that they weren't good enough because their voices were too unique, and I won't let you guys not letting me into the competition stop me from achieving my goals. I'm too unique, and I understand that. I'm gonna propel, and I don't know how much.
Is that legit?
So that's what I was just about to go down. I was gonna say I don't know how much I want to go out on a limb here and give my opinion on that statement. How can I do this delicately?
I definitely have two perspectives on that comment.
Well, here's my honest opinion. Not saying who it is. I'm shitting on nobody, right? Absolutely not. Okay? In any context of that word, absolutely not. My fear is when you are pushed up by your base, by whoever it is, your family and close friends, that every time you get a little tipsy with them, they make you sing a karaoke track on a cell phone and tell you should be the next Chris Stapleton. You're actually more insane if you don't believe it than if you do. If everyone's telling you you're that and you're the only anomaly, I mean, it's human nature. You're going to be like, oh, I am. Okay. You start buying that facade or that fallacy. My thing was, this definitely wasn't the case, right? Absolutely, you're not going to be that next thing, right? I don't say that as an ultimate point. I say it as, if we're being paid for our musical acumen and our expertise on the fact, quote unquote, we have to make those calls. If this had been normal day to day, I wouldn't care. I'm like, oh, that's what this guy thinks. I'm nobody to break that reality for him, whatever. Okay. But that wasn't the case. We were put in the position of making it known that that's not the case, right? So what do you, here's, I guess, what I'm saying. It broke my heart that in his fantasy, we were the people that were akin to the people that told people like Celine Dion and whatever that they weren't good enough because they were too unique. And that, I mean, ultimately wasn't true, but to him that was true. And we were those people. Right. That broke my heart. This isn't so much a dig on him. It's like, I can't believe that in someone's world, we're that person, because that's not the case.
Yeah, so we have to be honest, right? Because that's what we were being tasked to do.
Nice,
right? That was the task. That was a task at hand. But I think you'll probably get to this because you said there were two sides to this. Because this is how I feel about it. Is I don't think it's wrong for somebody's tribe to encourage somebody to do what gives them great joy.
Absolutely
Even
not.
if they're not great at it.
That's right.
Right. The challenge comes when they're bolstered to the point where they come to a competition and then, they're deflated.
They're disillusioned.
When we have to be really honest with them about what the reality of it is. But for me, I think it's wonderful when someone's tribe does whatever they need to do to make that person feel as good as they can feel if they're getting joy from whatever it is that they're doing.
Sure.
That's how I feel about it.
What do you think?
I think there's so many different ways to look at this. I agree with Laura that, like, if you have a tribe or you have a group of people that are supporting you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We all need that, regardless of how good or bad we are, right? And I'm not saying that this person was bad. I don't know who this person was that made this comment.
I'll tell you guys off the air so you know what I'm talking about, but it doesn't help anyone to put them on blast.
Yeah.
But it did happen, and it was like really troubling for a minute for me.
Yeah. However, I think that there's something that with our egos that confuses us about the purpose of why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So what happens is, because of social media, we kind of tend to like air our dirty laundry. And this person didn't really air their dirty laundry, but they made a comment that nobody else had to know about. If that's true to you and that's what you feel, you didn't have to tell anybody that.
And in telling people that, you're validating the reality that was didn't make it.
Right. In telling people that, you're kind of almost sort of like giving the people who were the judges the finger by saying, I understand my talent, and just because you didn't think it was good enough to get on this show, I'm still going to prosper. I'm still going to pursue. And I want you to feel that way.
Absolutely.
Because the reason you didn't make it might not have anything to do with you not being good enough. It just had to do with the fact that, comparatively speaking to what we saw, you weren't what we were looking for. Like when people, like when actors and actresses audition for movies, there are incredible actors that audition for movies, but we can't see you in that role, so you're not gonna get it.
Right.
Now, maybe this person's voice wasn't even good enough to get in the show. I have no idea.
Dude, the analogy to actors is so spot on, it's silly.
Right. Yeah, but it's
you could have
same
world-class actors that casting just goes, they're not our image for what we want for this role,
it's the same
period.
with singing.
Yep.
Ozzy Osbourne's not going to be on Broadway.
Perfect.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
And my thing with this guy was, I'm being careful because anything I could say doesn't serve anybody. I think I was just taken back at like, to make, there's, I'm so self-critical that I can't believe when people are at that level of being disillusioned. Like if you have to make your not getting in or your loss of getting into this, I don't want to say bar promotion because we had talked about how this became something so much bigger, but let's just say that for the sake of what I'm saying. If you have to make the reason you didn't get into a bar promotion, okay, under the guise of these guys couldn't recognize my originality, you're not serving yourself either, because that is absolutely not why this person didn't get in.
Right. The problem is perception is reality. So we could sit here and have a million reasons why this person didn't make it, and even not knowing who it was, that's genuine. But the reality is that this person feels a certain way about something. They believe that. They believe that so much that they felt they had to share that comment in social media for everybody to hear about. And that's okay. I hope deep down inside you find something genuine about that comment, and that you're not just there to give people the finger.
See, me as a producer mind, I'm like, the problem though for me is it's just like, if you keep that thought, you negate any responsibility to get better.
Oh my God, that's exactly what I
you
was
think
say.
you think like we just missed out on your talent, and the fact is
there's
we
no
didn't.
onus on them.
Yeah,
and it should always be on you.
Yeah, they're taking zero ownership.
Exactly.
I guess
Sometimes you don't have your moment. I mean, you have bad nights. I have bad nights. I've hit a few bad notes in my time. I mean,
same.
but to not own it just shows a lot of it just shows that there's no security, no growth, no
accountability,
or maturity, really.
I told one of the contestants that didn't make it that I Jedi mind tricked him in a genuine way, like this, because they were worked up about maybe why they didn't make it. And I said, hey, guess what? Guess what I'd give one of the two judging parameters that we're supposed to judge on? Guess what I'd give my performance that night? What? A 7 out of 10. Right. I gave all of you higher scores than that on every song.
Right.
And I'm not kissing your ass. I'm being honest, because guess what? We wake up some days a fool, and we wake up other days a master. And guess that day wasn't my day. That's fine. That is performance.
Exactly.
Here's, I guess, what I'm trying to say too. I kind of get both of your sentiments where, like, I'm not discouraging anyone that is a family member of talented people or a friend of talented people. I'm not discouraging you from lifting them up. Do that. I'm talking to performers. It is only in your best interest. You don't have to be overly self-critical, but to question your ability all the time. Measure up your ability against your peers. Don't disillusion yourself or let your base disillusion you into greatness, because it's only true for you and your base. It is extremely dangerous.
That's called growth.
Right.
To always do a self-check and to always be
Absolutely.
like, how can I
Exactly.
improve? Because like, I don't care how good of a singer you are. Like one of the best singers in the world, in my opinion, is Celine Dion. She's insane.
Oh, yeah, fantastic, yeah.
Like technically speaking, she's insane. Whitney Houston, she's insane.
Whitney. He's my number one.
Never, ever, in my opinion, do I think these women sit down and be like, yeah, I'm just riding the wave, man. I got this.
No, they're
you,
constantly.
Hey,
Are
you
you
can't be
kidding
that
me?
good thinking that.
Yeah, are
you?
you?
No.
No, you can't. You can't do
These
that.
guys
You-
are probably
Yeah.
torturously self-conscious in their own heads.
I believe
Yeah,
that.
okay.
I mean, you just can't be
So-
that level.
Fun fact on the farm, the vocal therapist that I worked with told me a story about Celine Dion.
Oh, I love it.
There are nights where if she can't hit that high note that she's expected to hit on her albums, show's canceled.
Shut up.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
That we're tipping the scale in a fun way because we're talking about the bad ways of not being self-critical. Now we're talking about the bad ways of being self-critical.
self-critical.
That's crazy. In my opinion, maybe if I was Celine Dion, I would think I'm a moron and what I'm saying is
but
wrong.
we go to the show and we have expectations if they aren't met.
That's true too.
We degrade
Yeah, that's
our
true too.
feelings about her.
That's true too.
So maybe another way of looking at this is even the big rigs are have expectations for themselves, and even the big rigs are like, nope, no, I can't do that. There are like these limitations. So from a standpoint of somebody who's like, we're not Celine Dion by any means at all. We're not selling out shows in Vegas.
Hell no.
So when I have a bad night, sometimes it's nice to think to myself, you know what? Maybe Celine Dion didn't do her show tonight because she couldn't hit that big note.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like it's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's like
Perspective.
Yes.
yeah, like perception, like level the field. Like at the end of the day, we're all human.
That's right. That's right. That is exactly the point. You that's it. We're the funny thing is we're all equal. I am not capable of anything you are not.
Yeah.
The idea of that is what breeds resentment, hate, all of this. It's like, let's flip this to a nice point of CMI, right? Central Maine Idol. We had some contestants that are absolute gems that were voted off, and I literally told them in writing, I want your spirit.
Yes.
I am envious of your spirit. You are so pure. We can name names. I don't think they'd mind. This is a good thing. Anna Van Valkenburg,
Love
Isabel
her.
Grignan. I mean, there are some that stand out. I love all of them, right? But some of them stand out as like, not only did they take what we said in a way that doesn't boost our ego, but is genuine. They understood that whatever it is that we know, we know. We're not perfect and we don't know everything, but the things we know, we've spent a ridiculous amount of time knowing or learning, right?
Yeah.
And it's like they took that as exactly what it was. They learned from it. They are such good sports. Like I'm not super competitive. I think I maybe have competitive tendencies. I don't like competing though. And I honestly, to be vulnerable with you guys, I don't know if I could take losing as well as both of those two in specific did.
Yes.
Which speaks volumes to what we gave them as far as like constructive feedback and the experience that they had. Because we also don't know, it'd be really fun to get like the top 3 or the top 6 in here to talk about like what was their experience with
Yes.
each
Hey,
other.
How
hold
would
on.
that be?
Yeah.
Can you guys help me produce that?
Yeah.
Oh, that
like,
would
Let's
be
get them in here.
brilliant.
what are the
Bill.
experience?
You're writing this down. Okay.
What are the experiences they had with each other? How did they connect with each other? Did they give each other advice? Because like, we there's a lot of reality TV and there's always this like cattiness and competition between people, but
It's not even real.
Yeah, it's not, and it's not even real.
So
And-
fabricate. Yeah.
and I felt like from what I saw, it felt like they really
Hold on.
kind of
I have a-
became
Didn't you see them
family.
hug each
have
other?
Such a good
Yes.
point for this. Pretend you're younger and more naive. You guys are very well-rounded people, right? Pretend though, right? Because we were all young and dumb at
Oh my
one
God,
point
Becky.
and fed our own egos.
Okay.
Imagine being in that setup, right? Even if you're not on real world, road rules, whatever, you know that if you're in that setup, you totally could lean that way because why not? It's fun to feed that like veininess and that like
Right.
cat. It's fun.
Yes.
There is a place for that, right? The fact that they fucking didn't do that,
Yes.
like you're saying,
Yeah.
is so dope. Like mind blowing to like. There we go. I need to find more excuses to hit my soundboard. Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. It's like we can complain about some of the experiences because some of them were ridiculous, absolutely uncalled for, ridiculous. And we could talk about other ones that were ridiculous, and we will. We will. Why not? Maybe not this
We'll keep
episode, but we
talking.
will. But
Well, no, I think we should. I think we should talk about that because I think it was part of the show. And
I told the contestant all about. I straight up.
And
Chris could not believe that I didn't confront him. I wasn't like trying to beat his ass, but I told him. I was like, that is just crazy and unacceptable. And to his defense, he apologized up and down. And at the end of the day, he really couldn't control that. That's the truth. He had nothing to directly do with that. I think maybe the actions beforehand, I mean, if you were really thinking it through, only led to that. So that might have been something you thought about, but he didn't actually do it. And I get that too. So the fact that he didn't use a scapegoat and back down, and he was like, oh my God, I'm sorry you guys had to deal with that. That was really nice to hear.
Yeah.
But we had do we want to say it?
Say what?
Go for it. What happened?
Oh, you mean when we were sitting at Corey Tap Room?
So post show, you had to go.
Yeah, I was not there.
Am I going to tell the story or you?
No, you. But I forgot you weren't there.
Yeah, no, I wasn't there. It started to rain, and I was
okay,
like,
Nick, you got the floor.
and I was listening to,
Sugar kitty.
Sugar.
Honey Pussy or whatever it was.
Honey Pussy is.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
can we make a super
we're-
group called Honey
yes,
Pussy?
We're starting, and we're gonna wear like these big crazy wigs and cheetah leotards.
Holy
Nice.
shit, I love
I'm
it.
in.
Yeah. So we're at the Corey Tap Room, and it's finale night, and the three of us are well, you had left at this point, but you had.
It was after.
It was
Yeah, we'd already
after.
partied before that too.
Yeah, so
After.
like there's a
Right.
group of us sitting there, and we got Steve who's like he's like freaking jacked and stuff, and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden something comes flying down from up above us because we were in the VIP section, which is right underneath where like the kind of balcony that's above
Yes.
that is above us, and all of a sudden like something comes flying down. and
Something hits me. I don't know if
hits
anything hit
Dan-
you guys.
no,
hit
it
me
hit-
right in the back of the head.
Yeah, it hit Dan right in the back of the
Right in the
head.
fucking
Grr.
beanie, dude.
So Kels, your lovely lady, whips around and she's like, "What the
Oh,
fuck?"
Kels will kill you dead.
And,
Be
like,
careful.
dude. The look on her face
So
was
sad I missed
like,
this.
"I will kill you" with my facial expression. It was awesome. And so she turns around and she's like, "What the fuck?" And there's and somebody says, "Oh, that accidentally hit that and blah blah blah."
And there were guys like this. Like,
yeah.
it wasn't me. They're pointing
they
at
were
the
pointing
assholes
to
that did it.
somebody.
Yeah.
Shut up.
They're
Yeah.
pointing at the people that actually threw it deliberately.
That did it deliberately.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
How
So-
freaking rude.
Right. So then all of a sudden, a contestant's name starts being yelled.
Okay.
Right, like within seconds after this happens.
Mhm.
And then Dan looks at me and he's like, because he was like, "Oh, maybe that's an accident." And then Dan looks at me and he goes, "Actually, maybe that was deliberate."
We start
Because there's
hearing
no reason.
What a shitty
blah,
thing
blah,
to do.
should have won. Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Over
Shut
and over. Swear to
up.
God.
That's what
I
was
would have gone up
happening.
there and punched them
Oh,
right in the face.
so I jump up
So
Yes. Okay.
like a
Daniel's like-
rage case.
he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to get a bouncer." And so like there's like bouncers hanging out around, and then we kind of like went upstairs and we're talking to people that were near this person, and we were just kind of like, "Wow,
Well-
really? Like this is."
I don't want to cut you off, but I didn't mean to. I got interjected by those people. I think because they had to stand next to them, they were like trying to like simmer everything, which is smart. Although, same with Chris, he thought how long has Chris known me? I'm not even like that, but he was so worried I was going to do something. I'm like, dude, I'm coming to get your security.
Right.
They're up here.
Yeah.
So
Because where were
what do you
they
want me to
anyway?
do? Up there. Right.
Well, and the other side of it too is like, I mean, our experiences, like especially playing in bars. Generally, the smart thing to do is to not wait until it's too late.
Correct.
Come on.
before
That was
something
my
happens.
point. That was my
Correct.
point.
Especially when people
Yeah.
are potentially drunk or maybe on some other kind of drug. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Who knows?
the smartest idea is to go get security, because one of two things is going to happen. Either it's going to escalate and somebody's going to be there to like make sure people are as safe as possible, or they're going to calm down because there's security hovering around them.
Correct.
And they don't
Yeah.
want to start a scene.
Yeah. And
But
that was
security should have been intuitive. I mean, I'm usually
So-
I have spidey sense. I mean, I know what's going on in most places.
Chris got very, very upset. I won't speak for him, but you'd have to ask him. He was like very upset that wasn't caught because it was very obvious.
Yeah.
And to Nikki's point, you're right. I mean, any bar owner knows this. De-escalation tactics have to be number one, because once you get a situation to that point,
Yeah.
involve bouncers or not, shit's going to fly.
Right.
And the thing is, we're not talking about bar drama. I don't really care. I've had way worse done to me at shows where jealous boyfriends that think I'm singing to their girlfriends,
my goodness.
who I haven't looked at the whole. I don't even know they were
Right,
there.
right. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, you, yeah. Oh, come on. Two front ladies.
Yes.
We could go. I'm sure we could go deep a whole episode about this, but it's like The point isn't that. The point is, imagine that being your crowd at a show. Another big reason not to escalate your numbers at all. That's a big thing. If people are showing up for you, let them do that organically. If you're championing yourself to get people there, that can happen. It can lead to stuff like that. I mean, it's like you're getting these people to buy in so hard that when you lose, they lose, and that's not good.
Right.
And like, the other thing that I kind of want to come back to is like, I don't know if people really understood how hard it was for us as judges.
No, they don't.
To make a choice.
Some people did.
Because there was so much talent, so much talent. And when I say so much talent, I just don't mean over the 5 weeks that we did it. I mean so much talent on one song that if you had never been there in the competition's entirety and you only heard that one song performed by that one person, you would look at me and say, why in the fuck did she not win?
Oh, we were wrecked trying to figure that out, right?
Yeah, because we couldn't vote based on
how many
one
times did
performance.
any of us be like, I want to work with you?
Yes.
Not fuck this competition in a bad way, but aside of this shit, you are so talented, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We said that so many times, it's silly. But yeah, I mean, it's important. I think what you said, Nikki, is it's like some people did recognize how hard it was. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw this, but I looked more than I posted because that's me. And I did see that some people were kind of giving us a little bit of a hard time. And then people came to our defense that I don't even know. I never even heard the name.
Oh, I didn't see this.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Some people were like, I don't know. I don't think anything is at all rigged. These guys had an insanely hard time. They were incredibly astute. And I thought their choices were more than fair given on what they had to choose from. Random people. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
Well, my experience on social media is always let your masses fight your battles.
I think that might have been mine on accident.
Yes.
I never thought of it, but
just the way to let things happen.
Yeah.
It shocks me that people would ever say that anything like that is rigged. And it kind of makes me wonder, and this is a whole nother conversation, but just like sort of as a side note, like what exactly is going on in someone's world to make them think that something would be rigged? What happened to you personally that makes you think that something is rigged? Whatever happened in the show to make you feel like anything was rigged, and that's the whole perception is reality, and that people will show you like who they are.
Well, there's no short answer to it. It's like there's so much in my mind that comes down to the current culture that we live in, where it's like anyone can go to imright.com and be validated.
Yes.
It's like the benefit of the age of free info is that it's free. The problem is nothing's vetted.
Yeah.
Nobody has to put themselves on a line to make sure what you're reading for free is true. So it's like all these people can just be like, if me and my base say I'm the best, I'm the best. Doesn't matter what you guys say. And instantly in that fallacy, they're right. They don't have the context.
Yeah.
Why have it? They need to validate them losing. Here's the thing, and this is what I hate about competition. I love being a part of, it's a double-edged sword. I think you'd be hard-pressed. I don't think it's impossible, but it would be a very hard sell to find 3 people that will tread that line more delicately and with other people's best interest in mind, which we really did try to do.
We absolutely did.
But at the end of the day, we are being tasked. I like that word more than paid.
Tasked.
I do like tasked.
I almost said tasked.
Yeah. But to judge and pick and eliminate, and that's what we're doing.
Yes.
And the fact is, like, it's almost like we're, like you're saying, Nikki, it's almost like in some people's minds, we're being put there by choice and doing it for fun. Like we're feeding on adrenochrome. It's like, we're not up there to eat babies. Like we're being told to do this. Like I don't get pleasure out of coming here and kicking people out. Yes. That's not, come on. But in their mind, I would guarantee that's like how some of these people looked at it. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and as judges, it's easy for us to sit here and say that, we were genuine. I mean, we were, but I guess what I'm saying is that we weren't on stage being judged and being kicked off and like singing, because there were moments where people had really amazing songs and they executed effortlessly, but they didn't go on to the next round. And so it's easy to not be the person on stage and not understand how something like that might make you feel.
Yeah.
And to give it your all, because that's the other thing, like before there was even a top 20 that was chosen, how many people showed up at auditions?
Oh my gosh.
All I'm saying is
78.
We've said there could have been a top 40. easily.
All I have to say is she said Trojan, and it threw me way off.
So the
You're like, Dan, get out of the gutter. I'm like, I'm thinking of ancient Sparta. What are you talking about?
The biggest challenge is that, was it the Trojan?
I was waiting. Laura's the queen of dirty jokes.
Oh my gosh, I know, but I had a point now.
I know, sorry.
Now all I can think about is Trojans.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Wait.
That's all right.
Laura, go, because me and Nikki love to talk.
I know you do. So for me, people giving everything that they had was so important, and I just feel like not being professional when they weren't chosen. So we're in a business, right? I mean, this is our business. I mean, we're on gigs and all that. And sometimes we have a bad night and you just kind of shrug it off and you just deal with it. But just because you weren't chosen doesn't mean that you weren't necessarily good, and doesn't mean that you shouldn't be professional.
Sure.
And you have an obligation, if
also,
this is your biz, to like take it like a I want to say like a man, but take it just
that's
be
a euphemism. Yeah, you can say it.
Just be professional.
The thing is, what is to say these people, like, none of these people are like amping to move to LA. Like, dude, we're doing another season in less time than we're not. Do you think, look, we're human, okay? Chris could literally look at us straight in the face and be like, by the way, for people that don't know, because a lot of people are going to see this that don't know who he is, Chris Valley is a mutual friend of all of ours, who is just a genius-minded entrepreneur, production-minded guy who is the executive producer, if you will, of Central Maine Idol. Little back. But the thing is, Chris could look at us straight in the face and be like, you cannot let how anyone acted at any point in last competition do anything to their scores this one. We're still human.
Yeah, well,
if someone acted like a fucking asshole, though, it's how that is so hard not to factor in. I mean, it's like we still want to, I think, given our personal ideologies, I still want to brew camaraderie. And seeing that team vibe was so dope that I will feel missed if we don't do that again, if we can't find that crew again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to do that.
Absolutely.
And it's like, why in the world would you shoot yourself in the foot?
I know. That's what, and it, that, not to go back to like the whole COVID thing, but that was like something that I thought about a lot during COVID, was like how easily it was for certain people around me to just not figure out how to get along.
Yeah.
And how
pour me another drink.
and how depressing that was.
Yeah.
And it all came down to like lack of accountability.
Yeah.
And
we talked about this last episode. And accountability is huge.
Lack of like understanding what they were doing to complicate a situation that was complicated because they complicated it.
Oh my God, dude. I want a bumper sticker that says, like, don't complicate a situation that's complicated because you complicate it.
Yeah. And it's just like, and so regardless of where you came out in Central Maine Idol, and this is sort of like a message to the contestants,
big message. Pay attention.
Yeah, I hope that everybody felt like they won, because I hope they learned something.
Yes.
Like sometimes not being the winner is what makes you the best. Because like if you think about American Idol, if you've made it to the top 10, you're touring.
Yeah.
Well, imagine this.
So, and there are people. So I remember when I watched American Idol I came down to Chris Allen and Adam
Lambert.
And Adam Lambert.
Adam loves so her.
And I thought for sure, I thought for sure Adam Lambert was going to win.
I can't believe he didn't.
And when he didn't, I was like, oh my God. Now I opened for Chris Allen. And let me tell you right now, technically speaking, as a singer, I completely understand why Chris Allen won. However,
I still don't. Adam would smoke him in my mind.
Adam still is up there, but like they're like in my brains, just to a certain degree, they're equal, but in different ways, right? But in some ways, I almost feel like Adam got more out of not winning than Chris did.
Goodness,
yes.
Because in my opinion, Adam's career, and I could be wrong about this, has been more successful than Chris's as far as mainstream media goes.
way more
It's possible
successful.
he had more flexibility, right?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't bound by the American Idol
Exactly.
brand.
I was
and
waiting for this to go
bloody.
really dirty.
Exactly.
I actually got through. I did a Maine, they did a Maine Idol that was actually connected to the show. Like this Central Maine Idol's just using that moniker. We're not actually connected to the show, though we did try this year, which I don't know if we told you guys about.
No, you didn't.
I was trying to
You
get.
sneaky little shit.
Well, it didn't work, so that's why you probably didn't hear about it. I'm not as sneaky as I seem, or I failed at my attempt. But I did one that was actually tied and had made it through and didn't go because I was a young moron. And I was like, my band's more. I was literally like 16. I'm like, my high school band's more. And fuck this. If they can't go, I can go, like a fucking idiot. And imagine the people behind me again want to talk
Goodness.
about your bass fucking you up. They're like, your allegiance is better. Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Right.
You don't know anything. But anyway, I later in life had sat down with one of the EPs of American Idol, working with an ex-manager of mine who used to own Polygram Records with Simon Cowell. Simon went on to own, is it America's Got Talent? What's the one he's on now?
America's Got Talent.
And so we were talking at the time because we were a manager's job outside of music management at large business management is how can we capitalize on you as a brand? Where can we put you that works and generates revenue for not only you but them? They make money on a percentage. If you're not making money, they're not making money. Look behind the curtain. I would be shocked if I have to tell anyone this, but you think you're good enough for a manager and you think you're good enough for a music attorney, if you're not pulling in gross amounts of revenue so they can make a decent amount on 10 and 15%, change the topic.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to know this stuff. It's crazy. You have no idea how many people have reached out to me and go, how do I get a manager? They're not even playing shows. They're not even selling records. You don't. Unless you're Greta Van Fleet. You're one of these bands that's inarguable. Like your brand is so strong that even if it hasn't hit, it will. That's a different story. But anyway, the point was I had sat down and talked to them and they're like, do you understand the scope of the deals that we make the winner of American Idol sign?
Oh,
You're
yeah,
better off not winning.
Oh, yeah.
Furthermore, now, or at least back then at the time, he's like, how about most of the top 10? They had deals with almost everybody on the top 10.
Yeah.
And unless this guy was shooting shit, I mean, why would he?
Yeah.
He owed me nothing. What does he
Right.
gain from lying to some dipshit from
I
Maine?
figured that was the case.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make total sense.
Absolutely.
So
I mean,
much
imagine,
less
why would this show
binded.
give you millions of dollars in free publicity to launch your career? Why would they do that?
Yeah.
They wouldn't. I mean, that's so
Right.
stupid. These guys are good business people. They're not that
Right.
dumb. If us three can think of that, you guarantee they are.
Right.
So there's so much illusion that in the entertainment industry that I think really needs dispelling. I don't know if we're thanks, Laura.
Well,
I don't know if we're the people, but yeah, I think on brand of, I'm going to sound like a skipping record, but this show and this channel at large, I think, yeah, the whole vibe is candid. Why not talk about that stuff? Why does everyone hide behind that stuff? There's so many industry trade secrets that everyone keeps buried. Why? What do you stand to gain by not telling people this?
Yeah, speaking on another level, the more vulnerable you are, the more connected you're going to feel to people around you. And you just have to weed out the people that aren't vulnerable and honest, So
And people that can't deal with that honesty.
yeah, and people that can't deal with that are the people that are going to try to use you for being vulnerable and honest. I'm kind of going off the beaten path a little bit, but basically what I'm trying to say is why can't we be transparent about everything?
No, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
You're not going
yeah.
off anything. That's
Yeah.
why can't we? And I think we can.
Yes.
And this age of owning your own stuff, right? This age of there's no producers behind that camera other than Bill that can look at us and go, don't talk about that shit. Why? So why not?
yeah.
Just because it's not, fuck them. Talk about it. We can be the people that do.
So this is kind of strange, but again, I'm gonna go. I feel so bad, Laura. Laura,
Laura, bully us.
Shut up.
Yeah.
But
Just keep talking.
But
I just mute me and Nikki's mics.
I don't mean to bring my parents into a conversation.
Oh, no,
but,
she brought her parents
in. Here we go.
The reason I mention them is because I think that there's a kind of an old school mentality about don't cry and I'm not saying my parents told me not to cry, but don't cry and do your job and show up to work and all those values are great. But I think we're getting to the point now where something else is happening in society where people are really struggling and people are really sad
in mass.
And they're anxious and depressed, and it's not necessarily because we're not talking about something, it's because we're not talking about something a certain way.
Dude,
that's the difference.
I want Laura to jump in, not me, but I have such an opinion on this.
Go ahead.
I like to think we are three of the people that I know that don't suffer that indoctrination, but just the way you said it, let me know you do a little. Like, I do too.
Yeah.
And so does she. I'm not pointing you out. But the fact that we go, when you say like, and I agreed at first, when you're like, show up, hide your shit, it's not everyone else's, it's yours, do your job, leave. You're like, there's benefit in that. At first I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I'm like, no. Because the funny thing is, what you said is, it's not that we're not talking about it, it's that we're not talking about it right. It's that if you're suffering with something, right, hiding it might save other people from dealing with the baggage of that thing, but they're going to be dealing with the residuals of something else because you're hiding that thing. And furthermore, maybe indulging in the victimization. Let's say I'm suffering from childhood trauma of like mental abuse, right? Hiding that from people and then flaunting whatever symptoms come from hiding that is far more detrimental.
However you hide it.
Right, than dealing with it. Again, back to Da Vinci.
Yes.
Indulging his darkness. He had the thought, again, that if you have to revel in your darkness enough to not let it exacerbate itself to things that hurt other people.
It's the whole transformation versus transferring thing that we talked about.
That's right.
Yes.
And it's like your idea of a podcast where we dive into like hedonistic ideas and darkness in a funny way. Like we're not going to have a Dr.
Like
Ruth sex line, whatever it was.
Your devil on your shoulder kind of deal.
Exactly.
Dude.
Yeah.
But the concept of that is so like just sound in terms of that. It's like we are a dualistic natured being. Like there is a devil on one and an angel on the other. And pretending the devil's not real and abiding by the angel, you're just going to build a monster. I've done it in different ways.
Yeah.
We've all done it. You know, Laura, you must have a new age take on this.
No. I think that I think that it's the kind of the yin yang thing that you have to have the good with the bad, and if you don't acknowledge the bad and give it some energy, the good is not as good as it could be.
Right.
So
right. We're a being of experientiality in relative experience. Like if you didn't feel cold water, you have no concept of what hot is.
Correct. Exactly.
There's no bounce.
Yes.
That water's cold in relation to the hot. Like we literally have to. So this is something when I was going through my like hippie stage, when I was reading all the new age books and like way when I was younger. And I was telling Laura at lunch that I was surrounded by these mentors that were like top of their field. And it was probably in hindsight convenient that they happened to practice new age stuff. It certainly wasn't the reason they were the top in their field. But when you're 18 and you're conspiracy minded, you're like, that's so the reason. I need to practice this shit. So I started realizing that, when I was thick in it, I was like, okay, so it's not exact math, right? So to be able to experience like 2 weeks of sheer happiness and excitement, I have to experience an equal time of 2 weeks of depression and chaos. I'm like, that's not the point. You don't have to experience a cold hour-long shower to then be able to have an hour-long hot shower. You just have to remember what cold feels like.
Correct. Yes.
You are a master if you can bounce back and be like I have bipolar tendencies. I don't know that I would actually be like diagnosed that, but I'm very manic and creative and my output is extreme at times, and then I'm depressed and low and whatever. The thing is, if I can lower the time that I'm low and just remember what it is, genuinely, you're working at a masterful level, in my opinion.
You acknowledge the negative, give it a little bit of energy, and then
but stay on the high. Right.
Move along.
Yeah. But we're talking about stuff that in theory is simplistic sounding, but it's not. That is so tough.
It's so big.
You're way better at that than either of us.
Oh my God, 100%.
Which is, again, why we love your perspective, because like you're a genuine bounce. Like I can be like, I strive to be like this in 10 years, and you're there. You don't fake this shit.
No. Well, my thing is, like, when something bad happens, or if I'm nervous about something, there's nothing good that comes from worrying about it.
Zero.
Zero, right? There's nothing so I acknowledge it. I acknowledge that I'm nervous, or that that I've got a cold, and I'm probably not going to sing the way I'm worried that I might not sing a perfect song or I won't hit a perfect note, but I don't give it any more energy than that, and I move on. And as long as I don't like obsess on it, it usually doesn't happen.
Well, right.
Right? I mean, when you obsess on it, you give it more energy, and it manifests.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That's my experience.
I did a version of this my first trip to Nashville. I was reading a book and I don't remember what it is, so forgive me, like the author would see this, but if you know what it is, write it. I don't remember. One of the, Neil Donald Walsh, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, one of them. One of their trips was, if you have a preference in the way that your success shows up, you'll probably miss it because you're closing yourself off to all the ways that it might.
Yes.
You cannot give a fuck. And I used to be so good at practicing that. I was like, actually, to be honest, when I had my ironed out promotional plans for certain projects, and I was like, this is how it's going to go. They really didn't. It's not anecdotal evidence for me anymore. It's evidence. It literally happened this way. When I had it like pigeonholed in, this is how it's going to go, it never did. And it actually never performed as well. When I didn't give a shit, and I was like, however this outcome comes to be, I'll take it. I don't care in what form. It always worked in my favor.
Yeah, so
and somewhere I got lost.
You don't look at you don't have to look at the path. You just look at the goal.
Long vision.
Just look at the goal.
Look at the line.
Look at
Let
the
it
goal.
come. But honestly, to be genuine and vulnerable, along the line, somewhere I lost scope of that. And I was like, oh, that was just a comfort blanket thing that was a bumper sticker. It's not true. But then you look at all the affirmations and all the proof and you're like, no, dipshit, it was true. And you saw it work. I did. But you get jaded. And you're like, no, I need more control. Something about fear makes you want more control. I'm like, I need more control in this. I need more say. I need it to be more in my power so things go my way. And that might help you in some ways, but I really think it shuts doors.
Yeah. The more you focus on the negative, the more it manifests.
Yeah.
So I had a time where I left my job and thought the world was going to happen a certain way, and it didn't happen that way. And I kept saying that I needed the world to give me a break. And I used those literal words, give me a break. And I must have said it seriously 100 times.
Like you were like, it was a mantra.
Yes, give me a fucking break. I would constantly say, give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
Constantly. And you know what? I broke my fucking leg.
Are you serious?
The universe gave me a break.
No way.
It broke my leg. And I was in my bed. I was in a bed for like 3 months, depressed and in the most excruciating pain I ever had because I attracted that.
Right.
I asked the universe for that.
Did that layup help you?
Yeah. Lots of cool things happen, and that's probably for another podcast. But
you'll probably take this too, because sometimes the new age stuff can get insufferable if you're not into it. And I say this because I've been that guy where I'm jaded by it and I'm like, fuck all that stuff. It's all bullshit. It's just sales and you don't realize it's so naive. It's not true. I say this, even if the universe, God, whatever you're comfy with, broke your leg and laid you up to give you perspective, right? Even if you don't buy that, if you make that predicament work for you, it's the same thing.
Yeah. And
it's just whatever you're comfortable saying.
Right. And so, I think in the last podcast, we talked a little bit about how I've always been happy, right?
Yeah.
I've just chosen happiness. And the thing about that is, those 3 months gave me an opportunity to kind of reset.
Yeah.
It was kind of a reset.
Yep.
And I probably got to my lowest ever. And it was a cleansing opportunity.
Yes.
And so, I don't begrudge it. I'm thankful. I'm always grateful. That's another thing.
I get that.
Gratefulness is a big deal.
We
Even
talked
for the
about this
shitty
at lunch.
things.
Gratitude is the strongest thing you can have.
Have an
period.
attitude of gratitude.
But I agree with you. I had a lot of recent trauma that we definitely don't have time to go down. And I really feel the same way, where I was the worst maybe in ways I've ever been. Scary low, very bad. Honestly, probably irresponsibly low.
Yeah.
Probably should have had some interjection, but I'm me. But to be straight up.
And you're here.
I was just about to get here. There's no pity. I'm not saying this for any awes, but I came out of that realer than I went in. Mm-hmm. And out of all the learning I'd done at a young age and all the experiences I had, the one thing I really wanted was a realness. I looked up to people that could be genuinely themselves and be real with people and not, alter themselves. And I came out of that with that. I wouldn't say that's what caused those incidents, but I was lucky enough to come out of them with that. So you can't hate what happened wholesale. You can't. You know, and I think that's a strong way to be at peace with certain things that happen in your life. If you can take a real positive from them,
Right.
how can you resent them?
Right.
You can't. I mean, it's almost impossible. Nikki, I haven't heard your pretty voice in too long.
It's nice though, because I get what you mean about the listening thing. It's like bing, bing, ding, ding, ding.
Yes, it's so
like,
fun.
hey,
Nikki's just chilling. She's like,
Oh my gosh,
Nikki comes in, she's like,
so good.
she's like, yeah,
I'm
bruh.
like, yeah.
Just
Totally did.
Take a toke off what we're saying.
But me and Nate talk about this stuff. One of my buddies on another show on this channel, you should check it out. It's called Into the Layers. It's really fun. And we talk about how the nature of this topic or talks along these topics are so weirdly fulfilling. Like, even if I'm going over old beliefs I've held forever and this is nothing novel, it still feels so like energetic.
It's cathartic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cathartic is a perfect word. That like a lot of creative things, you guys probably agree with this. A lot of creative things, even if I like them, drain me. I go home and I'm like, my fuel tank's empty. I have nothing to give someone right now. I need to refuel. This does not do that at all.
Do you mean podcasts specifically don't do this to you?
I don't know. The ones I've done haven't. We'll see if that changes.
Yeah.
And I don't let knock on wood as I.
But the sharing, the giving, the sharing of information.
I've been lucky to do them only so far with people that are like this. Like this, I don't think there's a way to lose in this talk. You know.
I think that you're right, and I think that because that's exactly how I feel about it. Like we were talking earlier when we were like on break. I said something about like, oh my God, I can't wait to do this because I feel like for like years all I wanted
you
to do
loved
is be
it.
in podcasts.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't know she was this amped.
I'm not exhausted by any means at all. And out of everything that I do creatively, like I totally know what you mean. It's like, it's so much more exhausting, or it can be more exhausting. And I think it's because and maybe I'm making the wrong assumption here, but like when I create by myself, it feels, even though it's necessary, it feels like I'm pulling out so much more.
Yeah.
Whereas like there's energy in this room. So it's just like, for me, it's just like an exchange.
You're like
being lifted.
She's like a radio waiting to tune in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, but I'm by myself.
We
I'm
all
like,
are.
Yes.
The only person I tune in with when I'm by myself is me. And I should give myself more credit because there's an importance to like, being by yourself and like experience things by yourself. But when you're around other creatives and you're around other like-minded people, you literally, like your example of the radio couldn't be better. You literally just tune right in.
Well,
we're all on the same channel, and that's why we connected immediately.
that's a very good point. We also have this thing where, when you're left to your own devices, you're creating for yourself. Like here in this room, a lot of times, like people are like, "Where's another project?" Blah 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 blah. You have such a weight to that. Such a weight to the expectation, such a weight to the perspective of others, your reputation. It's not as simple as coming and freely creating. It's literally not. It is, and you can get yourself out of that, and that's what you have to do. Like, but this has no expectation. We get to be in here and be Laura Hudson, Nikki Hunt, Daniel Taylor, unabridged. Doesn't matter what we say. Say what you want. No one's holding you up to any.
It's good enough.
Yeah. It's more than good enough.
More than.
And that's what I was trying to tell you the other night when I was like, I know when Laura does this the first time, she's going to be obsessed. Because talking at length about this stuff is your thing.
Yeah.
This is what you're good at.
Yeah, I just don't do it in front of a microphone.
But you having fun?
Yeah, it's fun. Oh my God. So
I've got DJ Khaled too. Another
I fucking hate that sound.
I know. I put it for you. I know.
Every time it would happen, every time it would happen, I would like go.
I know. It's the new age DJ. It's like a big thing.
My butt would clench.
I don't even know what have for sounds. That's if you really say something bad. I'll rewind, right? Oh, this is a nice segue to this sound. I want to hear about something paranormal you've experienced.
Oh, seriously?
Yes.
Oh, now it's
why
getting
not?
real.
Okay, so
by the way, we did talk about Central Man Idol and the things that extend from that for almost an hour. So I think we paid our dues from the lack last time.
Okay, so I have 1,000 stories, but one story is we had a very close friend who was getting divorced, and really shitty divorce, and he came to live with us for a couple months. And when he came to our house, it all of a sudden, going up to my barn, which is usually very, very calm and like my Zen place with my horses, started to feel really weird. And I was uncomfortable going up to my barn. And I was really like concerned about what the heck was going on. So at some point I was alone. I was alone one weekend, and my husband was away, and I felt like there was something there, and I'm out there in the middle of my my property, and I yelled, "Get the fuck out of here. I know you're here. I want you to leave right away."
Are you serious?
Yeah. I said, "You need to leave. You don't belong here." This friend who was staying with us had brought something. And so when my husband came home, I told him about this, and he said, "Oh my God, Laura, I have to tell you about this."
No.
He happened to see it. He saw it. He had been walking by the barn, and he looked in the barn window, and there was a thing sitting on a chair, and it looked like it had a tall pumpkin head, and it was some kind of a demon thing.
What?
And that's what I made go away. I told it to get the fuck out, and it absolutely did. I mean, I pissed on my property, not literally.
Laura walks around lifting her leg on corners.
No, but I do believe that, and I had never even heard of such a thing, but innately I knew that I need to tell it to go away. It didn't belong there, and it absolutely did go away.
And you never felt anything intruding after that?
Nope.
That's crazy.
Yeah, is that weird?
I'm such a... It's funny, I believe in the most romantic, magical, esoteric shit, but I'm such a skeptic. Not in a bad way. I believe everyone's accounts of experiences. I just don't label them. You know, like I think I touched on this about when I was telling you guys about the other show, where like Steve and I's take is like, I don't think what you experienced didn't happen. I just don't label it. I think it's science we don't understand. I don't know if it was your dead grandmother, but I don't think you know what it is either. I think there's this thing, I always trip on this, called the Hollywood effect. How much of movies and stuff that we've seen build this encyclopedia in our head so that when we experience something we couldn't understand and maybe wouldn't normally label, we jump to, because you're going to pull from your experience, which is fake. So I wonder how, like, I grew up with, again, all girls, very sensitive, very romantic, borderline melodramatic, insane. And it exhausted me how much stuff these guys made up. And it's like, it's when you're kids and you're all on like this trip, like you're all making up this thing, right? You're like lying about something that went down and you're one of them. It's like you get older and you realize these motherfuckers forgot we were lying. I'm in on it. I was there.
No.
We were lying. These guys believe it, and they're basing their realities around it. And it's like, it gives you a glimpse in on how many people do that. Now, I believe you.
No, I'm telling you. And
I know
I
you
never
are.
saw.
You don't gain by telling me that.
I felt it. And I'm very sensitive to that stuff.
Well, your husband is a no bullshit guy. The most bullshit guy.
No, absolutely. And he's seen other things too. But yeah, it was just very
uncanny.
scary. I do believe that we can attract, by the stuff that we do. And this guy who was a friend of ours, as it turns out, there was a lot going on with him, and I won't use a name.
Yep.
But
so
there was a lot
pulling some stuff.
He brought that with him, not with purpose, but he
just
deserved what it came.
Yeah. I think maybe this feel-good feeling in here and in my house at large is I'm one of those people that says, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying we're all wrong, and I'm one of the guys that willing to admit we don't know. Most people are like, oh, we know. I'm like, we don't know. And the only hope you have to be right is to admit that we don't know. That's a good starting point. Pretending and labeling isn't. But my thing is, I wonder if my reluctance and my skepticism does the opposite of what that guy did to your house. You know what I mean? I don't entertain it.
Oh, yes.
It's not my reality.
It shoos it away.
There's nothing like that here because it's not in my world. Mm-hmm. Like, you're just not going to experience that here. Do you have
I'm not about negativity at all.
No, and that's why when you felt it, you're like, goodbye.
Yeah, get out
the fuck
here.
Out of here. Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah. And you did.
I did.
But you are actually also a very daunting presence. I don't know.
I'm daunting.
Has she met herself?
What does daunting mean exactly?
It's not like you don't
like
make people scared. Intense.
Intense.
Confident. Pull back. I don't know. I just know how it feels. You're a very strong soul.
Okay.
You're confident.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You're steadfast. You know. So I feel like if that is something, again, I don't know. Movies have said it's something. If it is, you got it. Like, if I'm possessed someday, Laura, I want you to be in the room with the exorcism.
I will.
Okay, well,
I'll set you on fire.
It's really funny that you.
Please put me out of my misery.
It's really funny that you say that because.
Oh, wait, do I need another one?
I watched something when I was younger about exorcisms, and they said that people who become possessed, they're only people who actually believe that there is something that can get you possessed.
Whoever said that, I agree with them 100%.
Kind of like people who are religious that believe in like God and devil.
Yeah.
They're the bad spirits can come because they believe they exist, whereas people who don't have a religion that believe in good and evil don't necessarily experience good and evil in that same way.
Well, they're not labeling it is all.
Nikki just judoed us into such a deeper spot because I believe that my crazy ass belief is that, and this isn't just mine, but there's one focal point. It's me. You guys aren't real. You're all whatever I accept to be something that I'm interpolating.
You've created us.
Same for you. I'm not real, Laura. Neither is she, neither is he, neither is anyone you know. Same with you. That we're literally just all the same thing. And the thing is, I talked to a friend about this, another buddy of mine that's just as out of his mind as I am. And he goes, well, think about it like this, dude. And we weren't stoned. But he goes, maybe we were, I don't remember. He goes, if that's true, then your argument about these people that are possessed, how like we're way more powerful than we know, we're way smarter than we know. He's like, how do you explain them speaking in tongues? Maybe we know it. Maybe we just don't know we know it. And it's like, if you're crazy enough to act like that, maybe you know it. And he goes, but get this, if that's true and you're everything, then someone getting possessed is them possessing themselves. You're everything. You're the same thing. And I'm like, fucking shay. Weird. I just think of course I'm being hokey on purpose. I don't know if I exactly believe what I just said, but the fact is, I think there's such a complexity, and going back to not labeling it, not pigeonholing this stuff is your best chance at getting a good scope on it and figuring it out, because we don't know.
Right. I guess you were about to ask me if anything weird had happened.
Oh my God, yes, please.
I've had a few weird things happen, like, some like a kind of like a chandelier, but it wasn't like a chandelier, but sort of, that had a glass thing that like literally like lifted up and moved over and fell. And there's no possible way that it could have just tipped, because the length of the light bulb that was inside the glass that was around it was too tall for it to just like tip and fall. Right?
Oh, weird.
That freaked me out.
At the house that I grew up in out in China, that's where this happened. This is the only thing, in my opinion, that, and there's been a couple other weird things, but like,
this is the weirdest.
The weirdest because multiple people of different ages saw the same girl.
Ooh,
that's creepy.
So I grew up out in China, and in the backwoods of where I grew up, there's like old roads, and we found like an old well, and we found shoes that were like, the soles were put together with nails.
Oh.
And like old, right?
Yes.
Creepy.
Well, we found a piece of a grave, and it was like, 18 something or 19, I can't even remember, but I actually wrote about it in a diary. I wish I still had this diary. And the only letters on the grave that we could make out, because it was broken, was Vesta, which was Vesta. So we ended up calling the ghost Vesta.
Oh God.
Don't call it.
Yeah. So what ended up happening was we brought the grave to the house.
Oh Jesus.
Oh my God.
Right.
Everybody knows you don't bring the grave to your house.
Nikki's going down the checklist.
The one freaking rule, and we broke it. So we bring Vesta back to the house, and we put it underneath the steps in the front, by the front door.
Nikki's like,
right?
we use it as a placeholder for the Ouija board.
Yes,
we kill a squirrel.
God.
Yeah, right. So we bring it back to the house, and like about a week later, my mom and I guess it must have been whoever she was dating at the time, because I don't know if my parents had been divorced yet then. They were gone. Anyway, the parents, whatever, the adults in the house were gone. And my older brother told me a story the next day. He was like up late on the couch in the living room, and he said, "Hey, did you get up in the middle of the night and go into the kitchen?" I was like, "No."
Oh God.
He's like, "Were you sleepwalking?" I was like, "No." I'm like, "Well, I mean, if I was sleepwalking, I guess I wouldn't know, but not to my knowledge." And he said, "I was in the living room, and I saw this girl walk from where the basement door is, going down to the basement to where there's an opening between like where the basement door is and the kitchen.
What?
And I saw her walk into the kitchen, but like she didn't turn the friggin' light on. I thought it was you.
I got the goosies.
So I went into the kitchen to turn the light on because I'm like, well, she must be sleepwalking, and no one's in there.
Dude.
And she has dirty blonde hair like you, and he described a nightgown she was wearing that was almost identical to these nightgowns that were given to me by my father's mom, my grandmother on my father's side. And I said, yeah, that wasn't me. So then a couple weeks later, we have a babysitter, and she was like, she said to my mom, she said, Diana, like the weirdest thing happened to me. I was in the kitchen and I was at the stove. And if you're standing at the stove in the kitchen, from the corner of your eye, you can see where the basement door is, which is exactly the exact same spot that my brother initially saw this chick.
hate
Oh, wait,
the
and she saw it
basement.
too?
And she said, and she described, she said, I thought it was Nikki, like home early from school. And she described the dirty blonde hair and the nightgown that was white with roses on it. And my mom's like, and my brother's like, oh my God, what the fuck?
That is
You know,
freaky
so,
deaky.
no, it gets worse. It gets worse. So then my mother's boyfriend,
I don't want it to get worse.
my mother's boyfriend was like, I overheard a conversation with my mom. He said, God, I could have sworn to God Nikki was in the kitchen the other day. And it was always back to me. It was like, this chick looks like me.
Nikki was possessed. It
That's
was
interesting.
Nikki.
And he described the exact same chick wearing the exact same outfit. He goes, and then she was just gone. And I saw her, but when I saw her, it was brief. I was out back on the trampoline, and the trampoline wasn't too far in front of the path that goes out back into the woods where we found everything. And out of the corner of my eye, there was this girl in a nightgown that was walking into the path in the back.
That's crazy.
We
Dude.
returned. Somebody took the grave. I don't know where, but somebody took the grave. And after the grave was taken, whoever
She
it
was
went,
gone.
she was gone, and nobody
Dude.
saw
That's
her
a
again.
great story. That's
Yeah,
freaking
and
See, and
amazing.
that's what I mean. Like, I don't know where to put all that. That's a lot to unpack.
So-
If you hadn't seen it too, I'd be like, you sleptwalk. And everyone saw it. And people lose track of time, and they didn't realize that you weren't just gone, that took them too long to get to the kitchen, you went to bed.
Yeah.
Because that would explain it. But like, you saw
Too many people.
the same thing. Right. And too many people.
So one thing that I think about this is that the veil. A couple things. One is quantum physics. That what is and what will be and what was is all
the same
happening
right
at the
now.
same time. And I used to read this. My ex-husband's mother used to have a bunch of books on this stuff, and there was this one author, Rachel Montgomery, and she was actually a reporter, and she was trying to debunk mediums. And so she went to see a medium and tried to debunk it, and couldn't, and it ended up spiraling, and she ended up realizing that she had this incredible gift. And she talks about the veil between the worlds, and how like sometimes it's so thin that you can see what's happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future. And sometimes I wonder if that's what we're seeing, right?
Yeah.
It's stuff that's already happened, and it's not necessarily it's not something that's interacting with us, but something that happened before that just keeps playing out.
Because if you think about like everything being energy, why it's not that energy disappears, it's just that it transforms.
It changes.
Yeah, right,
It changes. So it would make sense that you would only see like a brief moment of it if it still exists there. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
always thought too that you could add, like, back to the Hollywood effect thing, you could also, because we disregard wholesale how much of our reality we make up, that we just really don't realize that we do.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any less real, but we still do. And it's like, I wonder if those fleeting moments are tells to our senses that we then interject with people we know, which doesn't disregard the fact that their essence was there. It just means that the way it showed up was kind of internal, projected. You know what I mean?
100%.
But it's still the same thing. I'm
Well,
not saying it's any different.
So it's funny that you say that, because like you both are kind of talking about something that I kind of sort of wanted to segue in, because if it, like quantum physics speaking, if we are all experiencing things that used to happen, things that are happening, things that are going to happen, that certainly explains mediums or explains people who can predict the future.
Yeah.
Because have you ever, so like I'm somebody who really believes in like intuition, like knowing when something's
100%.
Yeah.
right. But I've had moments in my life where I've predicted things that there is absolutely no way in hell I could have known that.
I'm going to save my weirdest, I wouldn't even call it paranormal, but the closest thing to that I've experienced, how all comes down to intuition and the power of your mind. I have to save it for the next episode because it'll take too long and it's really fascinating and I want to see what you guys think. And I'm also going to call on live. I'm going to call my sister because I want her to vouch, and I'm going to have Kelsey come in and vouch because you will not believe me. I'm telling you ahead of time, you will not believe me. But I swear to my being that it happened. You're talking about debatably the biggest skeptic you've ever met. You'll soon learn that. And I'm telling you, it happened. It happened, and there's no way to explain it. I hate to leave that cliffhanger, but we don't have enough time because it's a lot to unpack. It's not really paranormal. It was in a huge phase where I was the thickest in the mud I've ever been with this spirituality stuff, really championing how powerful we are, that we don't really know what we are, that we're everything, that there isn't something separate from you. So if you want it to happen, it's as simple as moving your arm. You just don't know that. You've been indoctrinated for 36 years to think you can't bend a spoon. How long would you have to practice bending one before you could, kind of shit? I was like way in that, and this thing happened amongst others, but this big one. And I have to wait till the next time specifically you both are on and we're going to talk about it.
So I'll tell like two really quick stories.
Do yours. Mine's too long. I can't do mine.
One of them was I astro projected for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Like I completely astro projected and I knew that I could leave my body, and it was a really strange
and it was different, like discernibly different than dreaming. You really
way different.
Okay.
Way different.
I believe in it, by the way. I just like to ask the devil's advocates.
Yeah, no, I knew what I was experiencing. And I remember that at the time in my life, because I've thought about this a lot, and I've kind of been thinking to myself, like, what was going on in my life that made that happen? What was going on that was different? And the only thing I can think of was like, there was a period of time where like a lot of things with the band were going really well. There were like gigs that were kind of in line that I was excited about. I was, for like a short period of time, I was feeling really good about everything, like feeling like I was being true to myself. And then I had this weird astral projection thing happen, and I'm like, holy shit. I was like, what? I can leave my body. Like I knew I could leave my body, but like it wasn't one of those, like I know some people who are like, oh yeah, dude, I'll like get up and like make myself a sandwich.
Oh yeah.
You know, like that kind of crap. Or like, or I got up and I walked outside and walked to the end of the street and petted a dog, and you know, I'm like, shut up. But well, maybe you did. But like I'm like, no, I just knew I could leave my body. And so like I have a different perspective about energy now because of that. And a lot of people are like, you're crazy. And I'm like, yeah, you know what?
I don't think
the fun fact is you're really not. So that's what
the only thing that's crazy is you thinking I'm crazy.
Correct.
Because you're close-mindedness.
What was the quote? There's more things in this earth, Horatio, than you could dream of in your heavens or something.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, it's so true. Something like that. I butchered it. But
I believe that we can be so in tune with people that we literally can read each other's minds.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
The reason I say this is because I've had dreams where the person I was in the same bed with, we were in the exact same location, in the exact same store, looking for the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And we woke up and like finished each other's sentences about the dream. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking weird.
Yes.
But the creepiest thing that ever happened to me is a friend of mine.
Creepier than the first story? That was pretty weird.
No,
that was pretty weird.
This is a different kind of creepy. Like the girl, that's like eerie, like scary movie creepy. But this is more like
Vesta.
Like Vesta. This is like psychic creepy.
Don't say her name, you two.
Vesta. So I was a sophomore in high school. I had just broken up with the guy that I was dating. His name was Patch, and my friend
Patch.
We were going to a concert, and my friend Kelly came over, and she was like doing my hair or whatever, and like she'd do my hair, I'd do her makeup, blah blah blah. And I was really upset about the breakup, and I was like sitting there staring in the mirror, and I'm like thinking to myself, oh my god, like who? And I am not saying this out loud. And I'm like, who in the hell? He's gonna show up with some girl. He's gonna be with some girl at the concert, and I'm gonna be so upset. And she goes, Holly Briggs.
Out of nowhere. And for no reason?
Out of nowhere. And I'm what? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, where did that come from, Kelly? I'm like, what about Holly Briggs? She goes, that's who Patch is going to be with.
Oh, she heard you. She heard your thoughts.
And I'm like, did I just ask you who Patch? She said, not out loud.
Oh, dude, I thought you were going down like they were going to end up being there together, but you're saying she just read your mind.
She knew.
No, she knew, and they were there together.
Oh,
That's
it gets
amazing.
even better.
Yes, but they weren't. I don't think they were there together as a couple. But still, she was like, "Oh, Holly Briggs," and I'm like, "Holly Briggs, what? Why did you just say Holly Briggs?" She goes, "You just asked me who Patch was going to go to the concert with," and I said, "No, I didn't, not out loud." And she goes, "No, I know you didn't say it out loud."
That's crazy.
Dude.
That's
Shit
good.
like that happened all the time with her.
I love that.
Like,
You know what's
all
funny
the
is
time.
there's like this naivete in our minds when we're younger that kind of like weird. Like I think about how we're like a species that like what was the thing? Species with amnesia. We're like when we're younger, that shit doesn't freak us
Yeah.
out. If you fucking finished my sentence
Right
today,
now,
I'd be like,
Yes, yes.
I'm a reformed Christian. I believe it. You know what I mean? Because I'd be like, what the fuck? But when we're younger, we're like, oh yeah, whatever. My friend read my mind, and then we floated a cup over to us so we could drink it. So we were too lazy to get up.
Okay.
And you're like, who gives a shit? It's like, what is that?
Okay,
you become desensitized to things.
Yes,
because life and adulting
Yeah, trauma.
gets in the way, and
Yeah.
trauma.
We're jaded.
so I have one superpower.
What
I'll
is
tell
it?
you one more thing.
Give it to us, baby.
So I didn't realize I had this superpower, but I actually can tell when people are pregnant
Really?
before they even know it.
Are you trying to tell me something?
No.
I know I'm looking a little pudgy.
But here's how I see it. And this has happened probably 6 or 7 times. I'm always right.
What?
But I'll a couple, yes. So, but when I see it, like I'd be looking at Nikki and I will see you full term, wearing just what you're wearing, full term. And I just see it like that.
And
so a couple times it's happened at work. This is interesting. We'll have another conversation after this.
Oh,
But,
Jesus.
so anyway, at work, I happened to mention that to somebody and they said, oh my gosh, I haven't told anybody. Yeah, I'm only like as little pregnant as you could possibly be. Nobody would be able to tell. And I was like,
What?
oh, that's weird. But it kept happening, right? So then I happened to work at a bank and I was doing banking school. So I was in Connecticut with a bunch of other bankers from all over the country. And there was this one woman, Tanya, and I looked at her and I saw her pregnant, right? And I thought, oh my gosh, I cannot tell her this. I cannot tell her what I see, but I can't not tell her.
Oh, you have to. Right.
It just kept eating at me. So I say to her, you know, you're going to think I'm crazy. And I tell her the whole story about how I've done this several times and how it's always real. Well, we were in banking school for 3 years together. And so I told her, and she actually stormed away. She was angry at me, and I was like, I don't understand what's happening.
She thought you were
I've
calling
made
her
a big
chubby or
mistake.
something?
I've made a big mistake. So fast forward to like a year later, we're getting ready to go back to banking school together because the year is over, and we get together in the summer in Connecticut. And she says, she called me and she said, I have to tell you something. She goes, you know, you remember when you told me I was pregnant? She goes, I wasn't pregnant. And the reason I stormed away was because for 7 or 8 years, I've been trying with my husband to get pregnant. We hadn't been able to get pregnant. Right after you told me that, I got pregnant.
No.
I promise you. She
Dude.
wasn't even pregnant then. How freaking weird is that?
That is nuts.
But it's 100%.
So we all
accurate.
connected because we're telepaths or something? Empaths?
So
Maybe.
I have a friend whose mom does this similar thing, but not about pregnancies, where she literally will she'll be out in public and she says it happens way less.
Yeah, I have no control over it. It just
That's
happens
exactly
when it
what
happens.
That's
Like I'll just
wild.
see you
what
and I'll
my
go,
mom's
oh
friend said.
no.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what my mom's friend said. She goes, all of a sudden, boom, I'll know something that I'm supposed to relay to this person about a deceased relative or friend, and I can't not tell
Yeah.
them.
You're
and I
compelled
walk up to
to
them,
tell.
and I'm like, Mary wanted me to tell you that it's okay. You did the right thing. And people will completely
freaky-deaky.
have these
Meltdowns.
epic meltdowns, and because she'll tell them details that there's no way you could have known this.
I used to have a take. There's a guy named the Amazing Randy that's still to this day. I think
The amazing Randy.
I think he died. He was an infamous skeptic.
How amazing could he be?
Not very. And he was cool, but he had $1 million prize to anyone that could pass his test to show they had any type of supernatural power in any way. and no one ever did. And for a while when I was really jaded, I used to champion that, where I'd be like, if someone was a psychic, you would have a habitual Powerball winner, but you don't. Or if someone was a psychic, you'd have proof that people helping law enforcement to actually find bodies that aren't fleeting, success rates. You would have that, but you don't. I've since changed my tune, though, not just because of this talk, but I've become less jaded by all this shit. And it's like, I don't think it's that cut and dry. I don't think it's that perfect. And I don't think it's that like distinct. I think it's more fleeting. I think it's more of a vibe thing. You can't flick it on and flick it off.
Right.
It happens when it wants, if it's a thing at all, right? And the thing is, the more I hear from people I trust completely, like you, I know you're telling me the truth.
100%.
And the fact that your success rate's like, what, 80th percentile or something like that?
I've never gotten it wrong. I've never been wrong.
That's insane. Yeah. There is nothing to place that in.
Yeah.
My mind has nowhere to put that in its skepticism. Nowhere.
But again, I don't know what it is.
But here's the other thing. The thing I'm going to tell you guys about the next time, and I really am only doing it because it's a fun thing to dive down and it's going to take too long, it really happened. So like I balance all this against like the biggest skeptic you know. I'm such a skeptic, but here I am experiencing this thing that to this day is the weirdest thing, not only that I've experienced, that I've ever heard anyone tell me they experienced that they've all saw. And I wasn't the only person that saw it. So that gives tons of, well, not credibility to the public, but to me. If I was the only one that saw it, I'm like, oh, I ate a bad piece of, beef and I'm like hallucinating, or I was on PCP or whatever. But no, totally sober.
I think about the idea that we use a fifth of our brain.
Oh,
Right. And there's so much more to us, but we've just become so shut off.
I can't remember
to what we can do.
Did somebody? I want to say someone proved that wrong.
But we use more of our brains than we think.
It's just,
but it's still not like.
You're right, but it's at a time or something. Like we use like 10% of our brain or something at a time. We can use the whole thing, but not at once. Some weird shit. Still, the point is, even if we use all of our brain, who's to say that organ is the only thing that holds any power? I mean, like, what if, I don't think our brain's the only thing to blame for whatever it is that we're all connected to like it can't be. It just can't be. I don't know. These are topics that I'm absolutely obsessed with. I have to say, because you guys would be really fun to do this. I want to do some like really fun like Halloween special. Why don't we all three, why don't you come back? Well, you need to come back long before then, but why don't during Halloween, you guys come back and we all go to a psychic?
Yes.
Would that be fun?
God,
I've been to a psychic.
We'll do a group reading or something?
I actually have a story, and I'm going to try my best to like be, I don't know, like I'm not going to get into any details, but
no, give it.
I was with someone and I broke up with this person and I was up at Orono.
Oh God.
And there was a psychic there, right? And I'm like, whatever, this will be fun, take my mind off of things. And I was like, so should I like get back together with my boyfriend? And she was like, no. And I said, why? And she goes, because if you do, something will happen that will change your life forever, and you'll have to live forever with this issue.
Knowing that you knew this.
Yeah, knowing that I knew this. And she was right. And
what happened?
I can't say.
Oh, but it was right.
But she was 100%, like she could not have been more like spot on. And it was like, and I'm just like, oh, I'm at Orono, and I'm just like gonna like go see, like like you'll never forget it. Like you'll never forget what happens. And I'm like, okay. And she was right. It was unbelievable. And I haven't been to a psychic since.
And that's what I say to people. So here, I'll tell you this about my thing that blows my mind. The chances of it happening in a way, because it comes back to this, in a way that was completely outside of my control, and the only thing uncanny was the timing of it, is still 1 in billions. That's still magical to me. The fact that so same thing. The chance that she just says that, and what is the chance that she could say that, as a fake
right.
and have her be right? What would the chance of, because there is a chance someone says that, right? But the percentage of that chance happening is still magical. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. That doesn't deflate the story.
Right.
And that's where I've come to now. It's like, oh, so you just had a problem with the foo-foo end. It's still magic. It's still unexplainable, and it's still crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm at now. It's fun. I think I lived a life where I could not have to challenge some beliefs that I had kind of built, so that they were always right, because there was nothing to bounce them off. So this is really good. This is really good for that. You have to challenge where your walls are built.
Kind of like people who like don't believe in UFOs versus like, have you seen UFOs? Like I know
Yes.
so many people that have seen UFOs.
I've seen sky phenomena. I can't. Yeah. I didn't see like I know people that have actually claimed to see like
the silver
actual
balls.
ships.
I've seen a UFO.
I've
My
seen
husband has
lights
seen a like very close up UFO.
Yeah,
No
like
shit.
I know
Yeah,
multiple
up in the
people that
county.
have seen UFOs.
Unbelievable.
Really?
People who have
100%.
pictures.
No shit.
100%.
Dude, we need to do all of us. If you guys are more than welcome back, we should do a few different fun Halloween stuff. And you know what?
Yes.
You know what you should do? Dress us up for your episodes.
Yeah.
Dude, how dope would that be?
No. I don't need to be dressed up. I love Halloween.
I need to be
dress
dressed up,
myself
Nikki.
up.
So
we
you
should
have to dress me up.
should dress up as the witches from Hocus Pocus.
I'll be the chubby one. You can be the blonde. You can be the ringleader. I'll be the.
Can I just?
redhead.
Okay, so I've had 2 drinks, but I love you guys.
I love you.
I love you guys.
I tell you all the time. I love both
So
of you. You guys are
fun.
fantastic. I'm serious. I love that now you're not only the first episode, you're the 1 and 2. You guys are going to have to come back and just be the hosts.
Well, hopefully
I just
people
screwed
like
myself. Oh, they'll love it. We have like less than 5 minutes left if I'm hitting that mark. What do you guys, what do you think? Did we miss anything? Parting notes, thoughts, any fun euphemisms you want to leave people with, words of wisdom?
Should we do like a question round?
Yes,
Like
yes, and I
question
have it.
round.
I have
Like,
it.
yeah,
I meant to do this.
Question round.
I want from both of you guys, because I like your minds. I want, because we're media folk, I want to ask guests, is there 4 things, if you can, starting with you, a book you think people should read?
Oh,
Any. Doesn't have to be new.
I love. I think it's called The Cabin.
Okay.
That's
I've heard of
the
it.
greatest books ever.
A movie you think people are sleeping on that they really should see.
A movie they should see.
Yeah. Or a TV show or whatever in that vein.
Oh, Outlander. It's a series.
I like it.
Love it.
3, a song, album, or artist you think they're missing out on.
Oh, anything by heart. 100%.
And 4, you don't have this one. I was going to say a podcast since this is what we're doing. But I figured we're all media folk. A lot of the people I'm going to have on are going to be in the industry, whether it's music, movies, whatever. So that'd be a cool question. A book you think people should read?
I mentioned it in the last episode that we recorded, which is Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty.
I gotta listen.
Yeah,
I
I'm
going
going to get it on Audible tonight and listen to it while I'm in the
Yes.
shower. Movie or TV show you think people are sleeping on that they need to see?
So I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head, but it has it's about aliens, but it was released within the last few years, and it's the female lead character is like a redhead, and she, oh my god, I can't believe I can't
The Fourth
remember.
Kind?
Maybe, yeah, and
Where it's like
the,
cut in with
the aliens do like almost like ink blot things
Oh
on the
no.
glass.
Daniel, dude.
I know,
Oh.
I know. She's got. I'm trying to
If
remember.
it didn't, it should have won multiple Oscars.
It was so good.
They don't even experience
They-
linear time. They actually communicate in circular.
Yeah, they like communicate and
I know.
I
I'm so
can't
good with
remember.
movie names. I cannot believe.
Is Amy Lee?
Amy Adams. Amy Adams.
Amy Adams is the
The
lead
knowing-
character.
Oh my god, I know what you're talking about.
he's
I
Googling
can't remember it. But also my book was The Shack, not The Cabin.
The Shack. Yes.
Oh yes.
Wild Arrival.
Arrival.
Fucking
yes,
fantastic.
yes.
Arrival.
Yep. An album, musician, or even a specific song you think people would benefit from hearing?
When it comes to musician, Greta Van Fleet.
Oh, yeah.
Greta
So
Van
good.
Fleet. When it comes to an album,
1989.
I wasn't gonna say 1989, but I was gonna say both Folklore and Evermore by Taylor Swift.
You love them.
Oh, I
I
love
do, and the reason I love them is because the storytelling
Yeah.
and the imagery that goes with the storytelling, and also that they're not like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but they're not like sickeningly pop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yes,
sure.
like there's
There's a little more depth that you
there's
wouldn't expect.
There's so much more depth, and like all the things that she sings about on the albums are like seem kind of like if it's not relatable, it's such a great story to hear.
Either way, you're bought in. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the last?
Podcast.
Oh man, On Purpose with Jay Shetty.
Dude, you're a Jay Shetty fan. I'm going to download that book.
Me too.
Jay Shetty.
I saw before I do mine.
It's
I saw
it's Bill's fault.
Bill.
It's all
I
Bill.
saw the roast of somebody, and do you guys know Nikki Glazer, the comedian?
I love her.
Dude, Jewel
She's
was one of the roasts, and she goes, oh, Jewel. She goes, I don't know whether to make fun of you or your teeth. I can never decide. She goes, you guys call her Jewel. I call her Trailer Swift. I laughed so hard, dude. I woke up Kelsey. I was watching it last night. I laughed. Trailer Swift is so mean, but so well written.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
ridiculous.
I love those. I love those roasts.
Oh, they're so good. We need more of that. We're so sensitive. My 4, what did I start with? A book?
A book.
A book.
Dude, I'm having a hard time answering my own questions. I really like Rule by Secrecy by Jim Marrs. I don't know that it's journalistically perfectly accurate, but I think it's a really good peer into maybe some things you're not thinking about. Even if it's wrong, it will train you to open your mind to some shit you don't think about. A movie. I think everyone slept on Bad Times at the El Royale. It has like one of the biggest stat casts you've ever seen. I'm such a cinephile. I love movies. It's like everyone was like, how do you afford that cast? It's because the director was so good, they all took cuts to be in it because he's so good. They wanted to work with him. It's fantastic. It feels like a timepiece from like the 70s, but it's new. You guys would both like that a lot. That or Mulholland Drive, because I love ambiguous like art pieces. You guys have had to see Mulholland Drive.
I've heard of it. I don't think
Oh
I don't
my
think
God,
I've
it's so
seen it.
good.
No.
It's so good.
Wait a minute. Is it kind of like horror-ish or suspenseful?
Kind of.
Is the dude...
It's like a fever dream. It's weird.
Who's the lead guy in it?
Daniel.
Have you ever seen The Big Lebowski?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know the guy that's like...
The dude?
Not the dude, but the guy that's like from Vietnam.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that... Is it him that's the lead in Mulholland Drive?
Maybe. It might be. I don't know who the lead is, and usually I'm good with that. That was a weird cast though. They didn't go on to be like a lot of those like in like Vanilla Sky. Like Sofia Vergara or no, not Sofia Vergara. Daniel, dude, I'm killing it. Anyway,
I know who you're talking about.
yes, fantastic. Tom Cruise, fantastic. Music that I like. Yes, Justin Theroux. There you go. Music. John Mayer's new record's pretty dope, but that's an obvious one. Everyone's gonna listen to it. Ben Howard. You guys would benefit from hearing him too.
Ben Howard.
Very ethereal.
Somebody just talked about him in class the other day.
Yeah, he's folk, but he's way out there. Like I produced a song to kind of emulate him, and it's still like the only feedback I've ever got is it should be on a soundtrack because you couldn't put it on radio. What station would it work for? And podcast, this one. And with that said, I want to thank Nikki Hunt and Laura Hudson for going the long haul with us because these two are literally gems. You guys are fantastic. Can we do this more often? Can we make this regular?
Yes,
absolutely.
What the hell?
100%.
What are we doing?
Absolutely.
We've got it set up. I'm not even going to tear it down because I'm going to like send them pictures every other day. Be like, miss these seats? I'm like, dude, chill. We'll come back. This has been another episode of The Working Title. For the record, that will change, and I welcome opinions. I have been Daniel, Nikki Hunt, Laura Hudson. We'll see y'all next time.